we want to cut into that to continue to speak about Governor Cuomo. Two investigations are underway right now, one by the New York State Attorney General and the second by the New York State Assembly Judiciary Committee. All of these about those mounting allegations against the governor himself. Mark Molinaro, former GOP candidate for New York governor and Dutchess County executive, as well as the president of the New York State County Executives Association, is joining us to talk about the latest in the saga of scandals surrounding the governor. A New York Times report claimed that the governor's former top aide and current vaccine czar is in charge of the county by county vaccine rollout. Larry Schwartz has been calling county executives asking about loyalty to the governor. Mark Molinaro says that he received one of those calls from Schwartz. I'm going to bring you in here, Mark, to talk about what the heck is going on here. Can you tell me about the nature of that call and what they had to say on it?
Well, to be clear, I did not get a direct call from Larry. I fielded calls from those county executives that did receive the call from Larry Schwartz, and every one of them. Spoke to 3 or 4. When they hung up the phone, some were just perplexed and somewhat astonished that the call was made. To those that were really just outright disturbed, one of our members issuing an ethics complaint with the Attorney General's office. Here's the deal. In the state of New York, Larry Schwartz has been given a great deal of authority to direct vaccines throughout the state and even set up pop-up clinics and sort of additional resources for vaccines. When he calls a county executive, they think they're talking about vaccine distribution. They cannot afford, nor can they allow that line to be blurred. And clearly, county executives in this state felt that they were being pressured for political loyalty.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask you. Next question there. Was it just a loyalty test to see how everything's going with the governor, how everyone's thinking about it?
It's interesting, right? So based on what we know, the call was to Democratic county executives. It was to see if they were remaining somewhat loyal to the governor, and understandably, right? Leaders from across the state, Republicans and Democrats, know that the last 12 months have been filled with scandal. The last several weeks have become increasingly more disturbing, and they were sort of temperature taking. But at the end of the day, you cannot blur this line. We in this state, county leaders, are responsible for the pandemic response. We've waited for this moment to bring vaccines fairly and equitably to our residents. There cannot be any blurring of the lines. And what they've done is allowed this process, this life-saving effort, to be undermined.
Do we know who else received calls like that? What other county executives?
So we know the Democratic members, the Democratic county executives across the state. Several did ultimately, did express concerns to us, and frankly, it's just not the kind of thing that can happen. The other to keep in mind, the county leaders that didn't get the call, the county leaders that just read about this, they too are disturbed because they now believe or see what they've always believed, that this process is somehow influenced by politics.
Yeah, that's a kind of a scary statement right there, considering there's multiple investigations. As we were saying, the governor saying he will not be stepping down. How damaging is this politically for the governor, facing all of this and refusing to take steps from his position as governor? We saw him at a vaccination site earlier this morning.
Yeah, it's really pretty callous, but we've seen this, right? So for the last year, whether it's the deadly decision to place those with COVID back into nursing homes, the decision to manipulate that data, to obstruct an investigation, and now really to attempt to influence the investigations already underway regarding these just horrific sexual assault and sexual harassment charges. Frankly, this is just a continuation of a pattern of behavior that truly is disturbing. And we believe, many of us certainly, the governor ought to resign and the legislature ought to move forward with impeachment.
With so many prominent Democrats now moving forward and saying the governor should step down, what do you think it's going to take for him to actually take that action? Here's something funny. This is where Republicans and Mayor de Blasio agree. We don't think he's going to. We think that the state legislature is going to have to proceed with impeachment.
And maybe, just maybe, that and some ounce of decency would force him to step down. I mean, he cannot govern, and currently we are consumed with this scandal and the theater around it. Not to mention, there are victims, families with lost loved ones, women who have been victimized. They deserve to be heard, and they deserve this state to really hold these individuals accountable, hold the governor accountable.
Even among all these scandals, how can a Republican have a chance at winning statewide in New York?
Well, listen, we have to be about saying to New Yorkers that there's a better way, that we can make New York fairer, we can make it more affordable, we can confront the real challenges to make this state more welcoming for businesses, for those who want to retire, and that the scandals that we've seen in the state are simply a product of an entrenched culture of corruption that has corroded this state government. And I think by being good examples and by holding others accountable and by putting forward a positive agenda, frankly, and really demanding that there be a day of reckoning for a government that too often treats the people that it serves as their servants rather than their employers. I think by making that message, we can win. We've got to cobble together Republicans and Democrats and those without party affiliation. But by being responsible and by holding the state government responsible, there's a path to victory.
With everything that's been going on and everything you've seen, have you made any final decisions or spoken to anyone on final decisions for a run for governor?
A good question. I certainly have been flattered, been talking, obviously, to folks. We garnered 2.2 million votes in 2018, more than any Republican since 1998. In fact, I lost in 2018 with more votes than Andrew Cuomo won with in 2014. I'm going to be a part of the discussion. I'm going to be a part of an effort to take the state back and to get us back up on our feet again. But no announcements tonight.
No announcements here on NewsNOW from Fox, but I'm sure we'll be speaking to you again, and maybe down the line that will be a part of the conversation. Again, Mark Molinaro coming out of New York for us. Anything to be looking for, or what you're going to be looking for in the coming weeks?
Well, listen, on this very topic, we need now the state to be more transparent. We need to see the method for vaccine distribution. We need to see who's gotten what vaccines each week these last 14 weeks. And there needs to be an effort to hold the administration accountable. But every day has been a new scandal. And frankly, we need to turn the page, allow Lieutenant Governor Hochul to take office, and really move forward in trying to rebuild the state, get our kids back to school, and get New York and New Yorkers back up on our feet again.
All right, Mark, thanks for being with us here on NewsNOW from Fox. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And moving forward here, we're actually going to head back into that press conference with Governor Cuomo at the vaccination site earlier today. Here on NewsNOW, we want to be nonpartisan. We want to show you both sides of the aisle. But if we don't hear back from the other side, it's kind of difficult to do that. So we just show you these events as soon as we get them, whenever we have them. And I'm not sure if Governor Cuomo takes any questions in this press conference, but we'll play out the rest of it to see if he does. Let's listen in.